Porn is a net negative for humanity. Welcome back. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh, cognitive neuroscientist and author of best-selling porn addiction recovery book, Mind Over Explicit Matter. Okay, so porn is a net negative for humanity. Obviously, I said this 100%.
Porn has a net negative effect on society. Agreeers, please step forward.
I may have said 1,000%, and my sister corrected me yesterday that you can only be 100% in your feelings. And I told her, I think you can be 1,000% something. So 1,000%, porn's a net negative for humanity. But let's break it down. Like I talked about at the beginning of this series, is that on the Middle Ground in Jubilee Media, the episode is called NoFap versus Porn Performers.
Welcome to Middle Ground. I'm Ryan, your host. To the left, we have Team NoFap, and to the right, porn stars. This should be interesting.
And that episode with verses in the middle puts those two things against each other. Versus. And I've already said to you, really what I'm thinking is healthy sexuality versus unhealthy sexuality. Well, I also am thinking about what does versus mean, Instant gratification versus delayed gratification, escapism versus staying present, dopamine dependency versus optimized brain performance. It really depends on what you're looking at versus. So first, let me give you a couple short-term outcomes of porn that might feel good to humanity. Is that it's good to escape. It floods your system with dopamine. It numbs you out. So if you have problems, you can escape your problems pretty quickly. Unfortunately, it doubles them when you're back to life through a dopamine deficit, but instant gratification, escapism, and numbing, yes, those are real-world, quick, short-term benefits. The question was, is it a net negative? And the net is the interesting word because that's talking about long-term outcomes. The long-term outcomes of porn consumption are all shown to be negative. We've already gone through them. If you haven't watched the first prompt in this series, I was addicted to porn, check it out because in there I break it down. But we know that first and foremost, what I call the silent tsunami of porn is happening. And this starts with neurological dysregulation, brain dysfunction, a tsunami, which is a huge wave that takes out, the entire shore. Tsunamis kill people. They devastate. It happens when you're young and you found porn for the first time. The brain changes in the first two exposures to need more dopamine. The tolerance building starts almost right away. So when people become addicted to porn, it's in childhood or adolescence, but they have no clue. And I was trying to explain this to the porn performers. They don't understand. Most people don't until you really think about it logically. And I said it on the show. All of this is logical if you can take a step back and think about it. It's fascinating and terrifying all at the same time.
I call it the silent tsunami because basically that brain dysregulation that happens in a person's brain, which is below the surface. That's how a tsunami starts. There's a crack in the ocean floor. Nobody knows it's happening. But then it creates mental and physical health issues, which there's a significant rise in anxiety and depression. There's also what I call porn-induced ADHD because scientific studies have shown that not only is the structure of the brain impacted, but function also. So people can't focus, their productivity decreases. Physically, it leads to erectile dysfunction, which is destroying people's relationship. I work with a lot of people. They don't have the awareness until they do. But usually that's because they have significant mental and physical health issues. Science now shows that porn is how most kids are learning about sex, and it's hypersexualized. And we know there's an increase in violence. And so now we have young people, punching, choking.
When you found porn, your system felt it. You probably know what I'm talking about. Your brain had that rush. You lit up on fire. You felt sexual. You were probably too young to feel sexual. It felt good. It took you away from whatever stressors you had going in your life. It filled the holes of boredom. But if you never watered those seeds of addiction, they're not going to grow into a tree, right? The more you water those seeds, the bigger the tree grows, the harder it is to chop down. When you found porn, if you went back and then you coupled it with masturbation, you kept watering the seeds. You water the seeds for a decade. The more often you water them, the more often you're feeding them, they will continue to grow. This is what happens for most people. They find porn when they're young. They keep masturbating and watching porn for a decade. Then tolerance building and escalation continues. Now they watch more violent porn. They watch porn more often. They might even start edging, which means they don't use porn to orgasm. They let that dopamine stay in their brain for hours, for days, for weeks. The brains that I've seen edging is the most detrimental to brains. So these seeds of addiction, this silent tsunami, it starts in childhood or adolescence. The mental and physical symptoms and health implications and damages don't show up usually until you're older. Now you're young adult or middle age. You can't think. Your productivity's gone down. You cannot link this to your porn habit until you hear me. Going back to, is porn anti-feminist? It's anti-humanity. And all of this means that people are stuck in the lusting phase of love. You're stuck there. We know from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this means you're stuck in survival mode, which means you can't get to striving mode or thriving mode because in a distorted way, you're stuck in sexual reproduction, but it's distorted, it's artificial, it's not real. And then what that means is, based on Erikson's psychosocial stages, you're stuck in a much younger stage of development. Your brain is stuck underdeveloped. It changes your whole identity. Porn becomes a maladaptive behavior where you would have grown up and adapted to stressors and adapted to healthy sexuality and adapted to filling the holes in your psyche with your hobbies and your people and your work. But now you're stuck in those lower stages in a maladaptive way, shackled to the screen, yourself, and possibly acting out in the world. This is not what we want for humanity. Net negative. And all of this is keeping you from the relationship that you want. It's keeping you from the life that you desire and you deserve. That's why I went on the middle ground on Jubilee Media, because I want people to know it's very damaging and you deserve more. You deserve the relationship that the Hubs and I have. It's not perfect. I'm thinking about him earlier. I didn't realize it. I've said to him a couple times lately, there's things I never tell him what to do. I really don't. I don't micromanage that man at all. But a couple times there's things around that I wanted him to do, things that he's good at doing that I'm not. We have a lot of air filters in the home because I had toxic mold poisoning. They all needed new filters. So I said to him, if you're bored, I must have said the words, if you're bored, a couple times. So I was coming up here to record these videos and, he was ironing a shirt for me. And I go, thanks, babe. Thank you for ironing that shirt. I really appreciate it. I didn't ask him to do it. He offered. I was in the middle of ironing it. And then he goes, don't worry. I was bored. Right? This is the weird love that we have, the connection that we have, that we get to live our lives side by side in an interdependent relationship, which means I'm a top tier woman. He's a top tier man. We're raising top tier kids who aren't addicted to their phones or to explicit matter. We're trying to be 1% people, have peace and joy, tranquility, happiness. If you don't have those things and you consume porn, it's a part of the problem, a very large part. I would contend the entire thing. So I hope you enjoyed this series of my showcase on the middle ground, but fundamentally, get the book. If any of this resonates with you, get Mind Over Explicit Matter. It's a beautiful start for you. Go over to drtrishleigh.com if you're looking for more help. I would love to help you. And if any of this resonates that you're stuck in this stuff, it's time to step away. No more drinking the Kool-Aid. Jump your action out of the fishbowl so you can rock out your best life. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. I totally appreciate it. And as always, control your brain or it'll control you. I'll see you next time.